think his name. All right, good morning, you all. I'm gonna talk about something, and I follow a brother. I can't think of his name on channel. He an indigenous Mexican brother. His name will come to me, but I can't think of it now. So he does these panels of lives, one-on-ones with black people, Latino people, and all kind of other people, right? And basically, like, for instance, he had this one black girl on. Well, she looked like she mixed for real. She looked biracial for real. She don't look really black. But nevertheless, she called herself black. It is what it is. And basically, she was talking about how she, her husband, the father of her children, he's a Latino Mexican, and he's indigenous. But his mother looks white. So the mother always is basically, she said that the mother always calls when they go to the room, and she always talk in Spanish, call it the slave quarter. She got a lot of anti-blackness in it. Now you would think that they don't have indigenous blacks down there in Mexico. Homeboy, he said yes they do. He said, but the funny thing is, they was heavily discriminated against. And a lot of Afro-Latinos are heavily discriminated against in Latin America, whether it be Mexico, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, El Salvador, Guatemala, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, Colombia, Brazil. You have a lot of anti-blackness and colorism in them Latin countries. And like, when I went on a trip to Brazil, not Brazil, I'll take it back, Colombia. And they have one area. I mean, it's on the Pacific, off the Pacific, and it's where all the black Colombians live in. And you're talking about object poverty. Object poverty, man. Them people are living in object poverty, but the most beautiful people ever. The women are drop dead gorgeous. I ain't gonna even lie, the black women there are drop dead gorgeous. But they are ostracized like a lot of other Latin countries. Look at Argentina. Argentina damn near wiped their black population out. They only got a handful of black people. And those are basically, they biracial. Down in Brazil, they really don't, down in Argentina, they basically exterminated their black population, but nobody never wanted to put Argentina up against crimes against humanity. People still work with Argentina, and they wiped their black population out. Nobody never called that out. How they basically wiped their black population out in Argentina. But when you talk about a black and brown alliance here in the United States between Mexicans and black Americans, I said at one time we did try to do that. Martin Luther King had one time an alliance with Hugo Chavez, the Mexican agricultural farm guy that, basically he was an activist. And he hooked up with them for a time, but it fell through. Then, we had Lilac. Like I told this Native American brother that was saying the Mexicans was indigenous. I said, well, they don't think so. They always classify themselves as white. They never classify themselves as indigenous or brown people or nothing. They classified themselves as white, well, Caucasians, not Indios. That's why I said I wouldn't feel sorry for them if they get. It's different if they the indigenous that group that's on the reservations. That's different. But all them black Mexicans, they didn't recognize themselves as they say Indios or even Negroes. because you got a lot of black Mexicans. But the funny thing is, the black Mexicans never run out of Mexico. They always stay there. They don't flee. That's one thing I'll never see a lot of Afro-Mexicans here in the United States. Always the mestizo looking. That's why you wouldn't know if it was Afro-Mexicans. You would think that Afro-Mexicans don't even exist until you go looking them up. And there's a whole lot of them. They just don't flee like the mestizos. And the funny thing is, they just now getting recognition. And they were living in the harshest conditions. So, you know, this shows you how our brothers and sisters globally in the Western Hemisphere are living. You know, down there in these Latin countries. And you think it's bad up here with black people. In them Latin countries, black people are literally at the bottom. The black Latinos are at the bottom in those countries. You dig? When I seen that shit in Colombia, man, I was like, where the black people at? When I went to Colombia, they had took the video down. I had put it up. They took it down because I was showing all the power. I had doggone Colombians coming at me for showing that. I had Colombians coming at me for showing this whole area in Colombia in poverty. Because they don't want you to see these Latin countries try to act like they're a melting pot. No, the United States is a melting pot. And when you go down to these Latin American countries, only thing that save your ass, like homeboy said, like when he was down there in Brazil, what's his name? Austin Holloman. When he said he was down there in Brazil, he said if he didn't speak English, they would have killed him down there in Brazil because they thought he was a black Brazilian. They would have killed him. This show you the shit that goes on down there in these Latin American countries. And Brazil is not even a Spanish country, it's a Portuguese speaking country. And then they'll come to find out, like with Ibrahim Traore, he was making a deal with the Brazilians. I said, I sent them a letter. I'm like, man, you need to get on Brazil about all the anti-blackness in their country. And I wrote a letter to Ibrahim Traore saying he need to re-examine that deal that he's doing with Brazil, because the simple fact that how they treat our black brothers and sisters down there in Brazil. And when you had Austin Holloman just sit up there and saying he had a gun to his head, they were getting ready to kill that brother down there in Brazil. If he didn't start speaking English, that's when the only way they found out he wasn't from there. And he literally saved the other guys' lives. Because Austin Holloman was getting ready to get put to the dirt. That's why when he said in all those Latin countries, they racist as fuck. So, up here in the States, if you think Latin America's just as racist up here as they are down there, like Mexicans, they racist as fuck. And a lot of times the Mexicans, see, you had movies that came out in the early 90s, like Blood In and Blood Out and shit like that. And they'll make you think that the blacks teamed up with the Mexicans to fight the Aryan nation. No, it was not. That was over-dramatizing the situation. It was the other way around. It was the Aryan nations and the Mexican mafia teaming up to go against the blacks of the FBA of Bloods and Crips. And sometimes the Bloods and Crips and Black Guerrilla family joined forces to fight the Mexicans. They had to. That's why y'all understand why y'all got Bloods and Crips. Nigga, y'all dealing with Mexican racism. And Mexicans, and that dude, that brother said Mexicans are racist and colorist as fuck. Yes, they are. They are colorist as fuck. And racist as fuck. But they want us, they went and voted for Trump, all because they was on some anti-black shit and got fucked in the game. Got fucked in the game. The Mexicans went and voted for Donald Trump and got fucked in the game. Then they gonna turn around and look at us. Hey, black brothers, we need your help. Nah, we good. We sitting this one out. We good. We good. We sitting this one out. We ain't coming to help you. And not that we got anything personally against Mexicans. We just ain't helping y'all ass because for so long, y'all double-crossed us all, whether it be in prison, whether it be the LA City Council, how they was doing dirt against black people, how Latinos do everywhere when they get their high numbers up. First thing they want to do is get their numbers up somewhere, and then they want to try to keep black people out of everything. No, we ain't fuck that. Nope. It ain't just the Mexicans do that shit either. It's not just the Mexicans. It be the Puerto Ricans doing that shit, the Cubans do that shit. All of them do that shit. Once they get their numbers up somewhere, all of a sudden now they trying to push you out. That's why we delineating from everybody. That's why we got the FBA movement, the Foundational Black Movement. Because we delineate for everybody. Because everybody come over, whether it be the Latinos, Africans, not so much the Arabs, because they be making money off niggas, so they need your ass. But everybody else come over here and be on some bullshit against black people. And we tired of it. We ain't taking it no fucking more. We're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Damn right, that's the shit we on.